Yet another out-of-control fire is burning in Los Angeles with tens of thousands of people under fresh evacuation orders. Firefighters are optimistic about their progress, but are warning the situation could escalate if conditions change.
Burning since morning, but this is a threat best illustrated in the dark. A new fire churning through bushland north of Los Angeles, a city so recently scarred. The Hughes fire exploded just before midday. In 3 hours, it grew from 200 hectares to 2,000. 31,000 people were ordered to evacuate and a further 20,000 were put on notice.
It was just mayhem all over the freeways. People were driving on the wrong side.
As of 6:30 local time, it had burnt through 3,750 hectares. This is what that would look like in Sydney. It's completely uncontained, but crews say they're gaining the upper hand. The defining difference:
thank goodness we didn't have those powerful Santa Ana winds when this fire was started.
But residents are wary.
You seem to be feeling pretty calm about the progress that firefighters have made.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah. I mean, if the wind changes, it was super scary. You know, I'm still scared.
In Los Angeles, Reid Butler, 9 News.
Thousands of troops have been deployed to America's southern border as Donald Trump's immigration crackdown intensifies. The new US president is now threatening to prosecute any officials who defy his government's orders.
Presidential power ordering in military might. Donald Trump deploying 1,500 active duty troops direct to the US-Mexico border.
I get things done. I'm good at getting things done.
The president signing that latest immigration order today before sitting for the first Oval Office interview of his second term.
Jails and mental institutions from other countries are being emptied out into our country.
Today's order just the beginning. Trump now preparing to send up to 10,000 troops to the southern border.
President Trump is sending a very strong message to people around this world. If you are thinking about breaking the laws of the United States of America, you will be returned home, you will be arrested, you will be prosecuted.
The president also sending a message to law enforcement officials, refuse to enforce the new immigration policies and face prosecution. Down Pennsylvania Avenue at the Capitol, the outcome of earlier orders playing out. A newly released January 6 defendant out of jail and at the very site of the insurrection.
Trump himself is a felon now. Because a person's a felon doesn't make them devoid of their right to protest, right?
They were treated like the worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote because they knew the election was rigged.
Behind those doors inside the Oval Office, Donald Trump has been working fast on policy changes. But 3 days into his new administration, the president is now facing legal challenges against some of his more controversial actions.
We expect to stop this executive order before it is ever implemented.
Among those being challenged, Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship. 24 Democratic states and cities now taking the policy to court.
If you are born in this country on American soil, regardless of the citizenship or the status of your parents, you're an American citizen.
But none of it deterring the new commander-in-chief.
I think we got there just in the nick of time.
At the White House, Lauren Tomasi, 9 News.
Taxpayers will take on $50 million of debt from Rex as the federal government moves to rescue the embattled regional airline. The safeguard has bipartisan support in Parliament, but smaller carriers are concerned it'll only wipe out more companies.
It's built as a lifeline for regional Australia, but now Rex is being offered a lifeline of its own.
We're stepping into the shoes of the major creditor.
The federal government acquiring $50 million worth of debt in a bid to save the struggling airline.
We want to make sure that regional communities continue to have access to the much needed services that they need.
We'd be happy to support the government in a bipartisan way to see Rex Airlines fly again.
It's going to mean we've got a robust third business, and that's going to mean we can get to a position of lowering airfares but also keeping those regional communities connected.
Rex went into administration last July after a failed attempt to take on Qantas and Virgin on metro routes. Since then, the government has pitched in $80 million to keep its regional services operating. Today's safety net giving the airline more time in the search for a buyer. If successful, the new owner on the hook to return the $50 million.
Dubbo Regional Council was owed $650,000 by Rex, and that was for passenger fees and security screening. I doubt we'll ever see a cent of that back.
Some smaller carriers have concerns that pouring Commonwealth support into one airline will only make it harder for them to compete.
Our view isn't that we don't want the competition, we just want it to be a fair and level playing field.
Claudia Radoljak, 9 News.
After days of anticipation, Putrescia, Sydney's rare corpse flower, has begun blooming at the Botanic Garden. Mike Dalton is there for us, and Mike, she is drawing quite the crowd.
Georgie, thousands of Sydney-siders have already queued for a look and a whiff at one of the world's rarest and stinkiest flowers, the corpse flower. Combining the gentle essences of wet football socks, hot cat food and dead possum, this corpse flower would tease the city until finally blooming today. It's been as hotly anticipated as a royal birth. The blooming of Sydney's corpse flower.
I've been here for 5 days waiting for it to open.
But it's been the lack of hotly that has contributed to its stalled reveal. Sydney's run of mild summer weather helping delay the flowering of this exotic rarity.
And we think perhaps because it's a small plant, it's taken a little longer.
Over the last few days, the corpse flower has teased experts with her slow swelling. But just after midday, Putrescia, as she is known, began to open her spathe, the crimson skirt that surrounds her, much to the occasionally genuflecting delight of the hundreds who have queued to see her today at the Botanic Gardens.
It's beautiful like a flower, smells like death. I mean, what's not to like?
The excitement's such, Putrescia now has her own Facebook page as well as a Spotify account. Her live stream achieving over 500,000 views, even before she started blooming.
It's amazing. It's overwhelming, of course.
Georgie, at the moment, Putrescia is not in full bloom, so the essence within the room here is that of dead mice beneath the kitchen floor. But to cater for the crowds, the Botanic Gardens will be open until midnight, but you'd better be quick because the bloom of the corpse flower is notoriously quick, a little more than 24 hours, Georgie.
All right. Wonderful information there. Thank you, Mike Dalton. Small businesses across the country are shedding jobs. At the same time, big business and the public service are employing more than ever. With unemployment still low across Australia, it's yet another challenge for local shops.
At the Corner Store Cafe in Brisbane, coffee, sandwiches and smiles are ready, but it's finding staff that remains a struggle.
Less candidates available, less options. It's just frustrating because you have to work harder and longer to just achieve the same results.
New figures from the Bureau of Statistics tonight showing the number of Australians working in large and medium-sized businesses grew drastically in the 12 months to September, but fell in small businesses classified as having under 20 employees.
1.1 million jobs have been created. That's a record for a parliamentary term. And 4 out of every 5 of those jobs have been in the private sector.
That also means around 1 in 5 are publicly funded, including growth in aged care and healthcare workers, as well as public administration and safety.
One thing you know about a Labor government is that they can tax and spend, but they also talk a lot and they don't deliver much.
When it comes to workers in the care economy, they're job snobs.
The Coalition has pledged to increase instant tax write-offs for small businesses as a way of helping small business owners.
And that's what Australians are asking themselves today. Do they feel better off after 3 years of Anthony Albanese?
They might not see them as real jobs, but we see them as real jobs.
Charles Cratcher, 9 News.